This is Tel Azekah, A-Z-E-K-A. We're climbing to the top here. We're like way up in the mountains here. The hill country of Judea. This is the Tel that we're climbing up to. If we go on to the other side, you can see how far up we've come into the hill country.
The question if it's better to stand here or maybe it's better to go another 20 meters. So we'll see in a moment. So when we're talking about valleys here, you know, everything is quite miniature.
What was here?
And what's this valley?
Let's wait till everybody will arrive. Down here, this is the valley of Elam.
Yeah.
Between here and the hill in front of
David
Yes.
and Goliath here.
It's become a bit wider over there. When we go on the
Valley where David fought Goliath.
It's like the Jordan. Have you seen the Jordan?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's only 2 meters. And people think, you know, Jordan River is deep and wide milk and honey on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like the Mississippi. Everything is quite miniature here. And the important is what's on the side, what's in the front. So where are we? We are really here near the site of Azekah. If you look to the other side, you see a rather steep hill. And this site was already excavated about 113 years ago by one of the first expeditions in the Holy Land. It was Bliss and McAllister. Bliss was a student of Petrie. Flinders Petrie was the first archaeologist who did real scientific work in Israel, in the Holy Land. Before he worked in Egypt, and then he came to Tel Azekah in the Negev and make his first excavations there. And Bliss worked together with Petrie. And then Bliss came here, and he took McAllister, and they excavated here together. And later McAllister worked in Gezer by himself, and even in Jerusalem. So you can see 3 generations in a way: Petrie, Bliss, and later McAllister. These were really the founded fathers of archaeology in the Holy Land. The first one who came and systematically started digging inside. But those days it was before Albright, and nobody really knew what's going on, you know, what is early, much earlier or later. They didn't have a clear chronology, and even the name of the period. They just called it the first Semitic period, the second Semitic period, the third Semitic, the fourth Semitic. Today nobody using these terminologies, of course. Now we have early bronze, middle bronze, late bronze, Iron Age, Hellenistic, Roman, Byzantine. And another thing is that when they just started excavating 100 years ago or so, the excavation technique were not so well organized. They didn't have square, you know, 5 by 5 meters. They didn't know much about sections. They didn't have loci number. And pottery, they probably collected only the nice fragment, you know, and so on and so forth. So when you're looking today at these, the report of the old excavation, you can't tell much about what's going on in the site. And in order to have a better idea, Tel Aviv University started this summer excavation here on Tel Azekah. So I don't know yet what they are doing. I didn't visit them. I did not visit them, so I don't know exactly what's happened. I will wait 2-3 years, and then it will be nice to come and see the result of the excavation. Now you can ask me, how do you know that this is biblical Azekah? This is the main problem on any archaeological site. How do you know that Megiddo is Megiddo or Chatzor is Chatzor? Sometimes, when we are lucky, we're discovering an inscription with the name of the site written on this inscription. In Beit An, such inscription was found. In Lachish, such inscription was found. Even in Tel Dan, but not in Azekah. The Arabic name and the traditional name of this place is Khirbet Zakaria. And people think that Azekah is with Ain, you start right. So the Ain failed, and instead of Azekah, it became Zakaria. So maybe it's right, maybe not. Maybe the ancient name has nothing to do with the modern name. Anyhow, we don't have any other site in the region which seems to fit all the historical knowledge that we know about Azekah. because Azekah is one of the few sites that mentioned in 3 different sources. It's mentioned in the biblical tradition 6-7 times. Then it's mentioned in Assyrian tablet, a letter to God it's called, and Sennacherib probably wrote it, and he described how he conquered Azekah. So it appeared in Assyrian document, and then in an ancient Hebrew letter found in Lachish, in the end of the First Temple period, just the last few days or weeks or a year of the kingdom. If you are very dramatic, you can interpret it as the last 2 days of the kingdom of Judah. I tell you why. In antiquity, how you move, if you have military messages that you need to move quickly, you do it by fire. Because if you send a person, it will take hours. So if you have 1 fire or 2 fire or 3 fire, you have a special signals system, and you can transfer messages very, very quickly. So there is a letter, ancient Hebrew letter found in the destruction of Lachish, which was destroyed in 586 BC. And the people who wrote it said, we are looking now at the single of Lachish because we cannot see the signs of Azekah anymore. Okay, so we have such a letter. Now, if you remember in Jeremiah, when the Babylonian came, he described that Babylonian came and they conquered all the fortified cities of Israel, of Judah, beside Azekah and Lachish. So it seemed, if you're taking the most dramatic interpretation, it will be that Jeremiah is still speaking about Azekah and Lachish, but the Ostrakon, the letter, already described that Lachish fell, that Azekah fell, and only Lachish is still there. So it really are the last 2 days of the kingdom of Judah. Very dramatic event. Anyhow, but this is about Azekah. Now if you come back in 10 years, we'll see what are the results of the new team, and maybe we'll know much more about this. He said what he is saying, when I was a shepherd, I killed a lion and I killed a bear. I'm not afraid of this Philistine. This is very interesting because if you look at Mesopotamian traditions, the Mesopotamian kings are always described as fighting with lions. The lion symbolizing the chaos, and the king purpose is to have order. So the king fighting with lions. And the same motive is here expressed with David. Anyhow, so David came, and of course, I can tell you the story forever, but you don't want to stand here forever, do you? You do want to stand here forever. Okay, so David first Saul gave him an armor and a sword and all these heavy equipment, and David said, well, I'm not used to this. He stripped himself from all this military equipment, and he go to the river and picked 5 small stones. Just small river pebbles. And many times if you go here to the valley of Elah, you can see a bus, and tourists going to the valley, to the river, and collecting 5 stones. And the joke says that since there are no more stones anymore, the tourist ministry dumps stones from time to time in the river. So volunteers can keep on collecting these stones. Anyhow, David took 5 stones, he came to Goliath, and Goliath was very heavy, like a tank, he couldn't really move, and he maybe didn't see very well because he was quite tall. And there is a whole medical doctor from Beersheba who make a diagnosis for Goliath, why he was so high and why he was so small, couldn't see very well, and he gave a whole... Anyhow, Goliath was very big probably and strong, but with all these armors and all these shields and all their weapons, he couldn't move very fast. And he said that David ran. So you can see 2 different tactics. One tactic is a lot of fire, and the other is a movement. And what David did, he ran, and he just sling 1 stone from far away. He didn't get close to Goliath, so Goliath can stab him, with a sword or with a spear or something. Just the stone you can hit from 20, 30 meters. And he hit Goliath here on the forehead, and Goliath fell. And David ran immediately and cut his head. He didn't wait that he will recover or anything. So you can see that David was very fast, and this was his power. Shooting a sling from far away, and that's it. Okay, so what's happened in this moment once Goliath is killed? You said that, okay, now it's time to fulfill the agreement. You will be our slave, you will be your slave. But of course, it didn't happen. Nobody obeyed agreements in the Near East. So it's saying that the Philistines fled as they ran away back to Gath and to Ekron. And the Israelites were chasing after them and killed the Philistines on the road. this is the story more or less. But what is more interesting from my point of view is the story what happened once David killed Goliath. They're saying that the Philistines not just fled away, they ran away in the road of Sha'araim. And what is Sha'araim? We know about Azekah here, we know about Sopor over there, and there is somewhere a city or a place called Sha'araim. I think that our site, Chibet Kayafa, where we're going to visit after here, is the site of biblical Sha'araim. And why? Sha'araim mentioned 3 times in the biblical tradition. And 2 of the 3 times it's mentioned here in the Valley of Elah. And 2 of the 3 times it's mentioned in association with King David. It's not from the 8th century or 7th century or 6th century. When it's mentioned in the biblical tradition, it's only late 11th century BC. So you can see that the geography of our site and Sha'araim is the same. The chronology of Sha'araim and our site is the same. And what is the meaning of the word Sha'araim? Anybody knows Hebrew? It means 2 gates. Do you know that in Hebrew you have one single and plural many, but if it's 2, it's another shape. Yes. So you have 3 different forms sometimes to describe gates, cities, people, whatever, hands and so on and so forth. If it's 2, it's different than single or plural, many plural. So Sha'araim means 2 gates. Now all the sites which were excavated from the first temple period, like Megiddo, which is 3 times bigger, Lachish, which is 4 times bigger, Gezer, which is 5 times bigger, and the entire periphery was excavated, all of them has only 1 gate. So a city with 2 gates is something quite exceptional. And our site has 2 gates. So based on the chronology, the geography, and the meaning of the name, we suggest that our site is biblical Sha'araim. Chibet Kayafa is biblical Sha'araim.
And
this is the idea.
You found 2 gates?
Yes. I'll show you 2 gates. Okay. So, but now where is the site of Sha'araim, of biblical Sha'araim, of Chibet Kayafa? You see the green hill in front of us? When you go up to the, almost to the top of the hill there, you see some white line, or an area which is much brighter. This is our excavations. Not the big white over there. This is the new city that they're going to build. And our excavation is over there. This is Chibet Kayafa. Depression from time to time, and young David came to play the lyre to cheer him.
And he was a warrior.
So, yeah, so there are different traditions about David before. So how come when he's here in the battlefield, nobody recognizes? Saul don't know who he was. So this is a self-contradiction inside the biblical tradition. The second contradiction is once David killed Goliath, he said it cut its head and took it to Jerusalem. But Jerusalem was not yet conquered, because David had to be, first of all, Saul is still a king for another 10, 20 years, we know it clearly. And then David ruled in Hebron for 7 years, and only then he conquered Jerusalem. So when he killed Goliath, it was only 10, 20 years before he conquered Jerusalem, so how could he take the head to Jerusalem? So you see self-contradiction in the story. And the worst contradiction is not in 1 Samuel 17, but in 2 Samuel 20 or 21, they said that a guy called Elchanan killed Goliath. So Goliath was so big, they need 2 guys to kill him. You see what's happened? Why we have the contradictions?
Unless David had another name.
Unless Goliath,
But
more than one Goliath.
Solomon had another name, didn't he? Maybe there was a
Some
tradition
people,
of-
you need to explain it, and some people said, well, David, his name was Elchanan, and then he became David, but when he's David, he's not Elchanan. But I want to tell you something. For me, if you, I don't know, you take an event like the murder of Kennedy, and you can read 10 different scenarios. Nobody knows exactly. And this was just 40 years ago with the newspaper and media, and yet you have different traditions. For me, that we have different traditions, it means that different people remember it differently. And there was different tradition, and sometimes all the propaganda was introduced, or some ideology, and some people changed the text over time. But for me, the contradiction is the strength of the historical event. Because if it was all make up after 200 years, we will have no contradictions. Somebody will write and see the beautiful story from A to Z without any problems. Why you have the contradictions? This is the historical value. For me, this is the strength of the story. Now, I don't know if really David killed Goliath. It's possible that it was a war and somebody called Elchanan killed Goliath, but David was the commander, so he got the credit, like today. When you said that MacArthur won the war, Second World War, he didn't really kill all the Japanese or whatever was there exactly. Yeah? But there was 100,000 people in the war. And then the general, big general, took the credit for himself. So it's also possible that once David became a king, they gave him the credit for the story, even if he didn't really kill him person. But what is important here is that this is the right place. The Valley of Elah was the clashes area, and people ask me if it was really a war between David and Goliath. My answer: there were 20 Davids and 20 Goliaths. People constantly fight here for 100 of years, 200 years. This is the important. And this is, I think, the resolution that we can go to ancient sources. If people really want to take the Bible as a modern history book, it's not like this. We cannot go to such resolution. We can look at big events. You have Canaanite cities that have been destroyed, but if they were really Joshua destroying them or not, they were destroyed. We can see that by archaeology. Then we have 200 years of small villages. If it was really Samson and Deborah, and all these judges, I don't know. But this was the period when you don't have kings and you have small villages. And this is what you can see from archaeology and the biblical tradition. And later, when you start to have the kingdom, you can see that they are fighting between Palestine and a new political power here. And the fighting is in the Valley of Elah. This is historical 100%. But if this guy killed this guy and that guy killed the other guy, to such kind of resolution, I don't know.
Big picture or little pictures?
Yeah, the
Big
resolution,
picture
it's a matter of resolution.
Pottery from the site.
Yes, but maybe it came from the surface, or they didn't
Maybe it's
collect
from
it. I
the
don't know.
They couldn't tell from where.
But who doesn't make mistakes?
Yeah, true. And in,
Yeah. When you've
in
got
100
this
years,
much,
this
yeah.
may be the tailings pile that you
We're piling our material in a water cistern near in the site. Yeah,
They killed
And
or they had a pile like
somebody's
this.
going to excavate
so
that
it's
again.
not exposed to the surface like
A lot
this.
of